Hello buddies, welcome to my channel. It is Miss March. Today, as you have probably seen from the title, I'm going to talk about the Naked palette. What prompted this video was the fact that they just released a new palette called the Wild Wild West palette or Naked palette. And I'm going to put a picture here or here, depending on how much room I have. But yeah, so they released it, and I knew that the moment they released it, there's gonna be all these beauty YouTubers and beauty influencers talking about how like, oh, they always do the same thing and why do they do that. And I'm here to defend the Naked palette. So we're gonna talk a little bit about why I think it's still a pretty decent product and why I'm a little bit excited about it and why I think people continue to buy them. So the Naked palette comes out in 2010, and the first one that they have is the Naked, the original Naked, which is this one. And it was pretty revolutionary for the time. I think that before that, a lot of us were buying this stuff from the grocery store or from the drugstore. This is from Almay, and we were usually, you know, just or buying individual colors, and this is sort of like the first palette that I think a lot of people had. For me personally, like Naked 2 was actually my first palette that I ever bought. I bought it in 2011. So they released the palette, and as I said, it was pretty revolutionary. Most people were buying things from the drugstore, or even like I remember like those little makeup quads from like Estee Lauder and things like that that were really, really boring. So they come up with this palette, with the Naked palettes, and there's a couple of things that I think they did really well. So I'm going to use this one as an example because it's a little bit better. I find that the original Naked. So the first thing that I think that I did really well was the fact that you had a set of colors that you could combine in whichever way you wanted, and you were not going to mess up. So, you know, you could have gone like different, 2 colors, 3 colors, no matter what you did, you were not going to mess it up. The other reason I think was really good, they were all neutrals. So again, hard to mess up. You can always, you know, diffuse them. You can always just make sure that, you know, you just blend it really well. So it was pretty much foolproof. You had everything you needed to do an eye look, and the way they sort of like arranged the colors made it really easy to know that, hey, I'm going to start with my base color over here, and then I have everything that goes in the middle here. There's usually a matte that I can use for my crease color, and then I can end with some liner or just accent colors in there. So I think they did really well in the fact that, you know, you could get everything you needed from to do an eye look from this palette. And on top of that, you couldn't mess it up. It was really hard to mess it up. I think it was also, if I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong, one of the first palettes that came with like a brush and not like little sponges. So you really, everything you needed, you could get it from this. And I think because of that, a lot of us learned how to do eye looks or more complex eye looks with the Naked palettes. I know for a fact that I got this one and I learned what a crease was from watching YouTube videos and looking how to do that. So I think in that sense, they really managed to create a product that someone who is not as familiar with makeup could use and enjoy and not be afraid of messing up. So I think in that sense, like it was a wonderful product to create. Formula-wise, I'm okay with it. Like, I'm not someone who's super picky with formulas, so I know that other people might be. For me, as long as like it's not patchy and that it stays and it actually shows, I'm kind of happy with it. So they released the Naked, the original Naked, and then we get like sort of like the Naked to the fall. I think it was the following year. And my computer just made a noise. Sorry about that. And we see improvements from one to the other. So like we had this felt fill thing, which is not good to keep clean. We have a tin can or a tin thing the next. We get a better brush, and then we actually get even like Naked 3. But which was still pretty neutral. It's just more like mauves and a little pinkish colors. And I think, again, a lot of us really learn how to do good eye looks with that. I'm actually wearing a Naked 3 right now. And I think that's for when a lot of people like start criticizing Urban Decay, because that's then they release the Smoky, they release Naked Heat, Naked Cherry, Naked Honey, and now we have Wild Wild West. Now they also released the Naked Basics. I'm not going to talk about those because I don't like them, but also because I don't think like they were as revolutionary as the other products. But just, you know, just to mention that, yeah, they do have those. But yeah, so they release all these other ones that are a bit more colorful and that like they're on and they have I think there's a Naked Ultraviolet too. Yes. So they release all those, and I think that people started feeling that, oh, they're like just doing the same thing. However, and this is where I don't agree. I think that one of the good things about that is that, let's say you, like me, bought the original Naked or Naked 2 or Naked 3, one of the three original Nakeds. And you did good eye looks, and then you feel like, you know what, I think I'm ready for something a bit more colorful, then something a bit more daring, but it can still be intimidating. So they took that and they took the same formula in the sense of like, okay, we're gonna have everything you need to do an eye look. We're gonna have colors that go well together, all in one palette. And I think that's what they did with the Cherry and the Heat and the Wild West and the Ultraviolet. So you can still have that security of, you know, I'm not gonna mess this up, but you're making it better because, you know, you're just adding more colors and you're kind of stepping outside of your comfort zone, but also in a very safe way, which I think for people who want to get more creative with makeup but are not quite there yet, it can be a really powerful thing. And I think that's something that they did well. I know that for me, even like, I don't know, just to give an example, when I first got these like Huda Beauty, this one is the Amethyst, this was a bit much for me, and I actually had to kind of learn to use it. And also I didn't have everything I needed to kind of make that eye look, because there's no base. So again, like, we're lucky we have YouTube, but I think it's easier for someone who is not as familiar with makeup or as I don't want to say competent or good at it, because I don't think that's the case, but that they are not as comfortable with makeup. I think it's a really good, like the Naked palettes are a really good environment for them to experiment and to play with it. And again, it's a safe space. You can mess it up. You know that those colors are going to go together. So, you know, if you want to grow in your makeup journey, I think that they're a good choice. It reminds me a little bit of, you know, when you have like maybe a children's / young adult book saga. Harry Potter is one that comes to mind, just because, you know, if you were over 10 when they first came out, you know that like as the books kept going, they got more complex and more adult, or more grown up, not adult. And I think for a lot of, you know, the books in a way really grew with that first cohort of kids that started reading it when the first book came out, and then maybe were 11 at that time, and then by the time they got to the last book, they had sort of grown up with the book. And I think in a way the Naked palette has done that, in the sense that, hey, you started with these really basic ones, and here we're giving you opportunities to get more daring, or to get, you know, more complex looks with this palette, and within the confines and within the sort of safety net that this palette affords you. I'm saying the word safe. Oh, that was weird. I'm saying the word safe quite a lot. I obviously mean it like, there's no safety in makeup, like there's no need for safety, but just know, like, you know what I mean when I say that. So for that reason, I think that, you know, the Naked palette was a good palette, and it continues to be a good product for people who are not makeup lovers, or who are not crazy about makeup, or who, you know, don't buy like multiple palettes. If you buy one palette a year, or even like one palette every 2 years, this may be a really, really good choice. And I think that this is part of the reason why the Naked palette is so popular. I think that, you know, it's a brand that people know. It's a brand that people know is going to be good, and they've had good experiences with it. Especially if you're someone who buys one palette a year, you're going to go for something that you know and you have tried, or maybe a friend has tried and they've told you about it, and you have probably heard of the Naked palettes. Like you have probably heard of Urban Decay's naked palettes, but you might not have heard of the Norvina palette, just to give you an example. So I do think that, you know, people tend to gravitate. The other reason I think is for a lot of people, like they have access to Urban Decay, but not other products. So I mentioned many times, I live in Canada. And even in Canada, you know, we're right next to the US, we don't get everything that they get. So for example, ColourPop, we had it at Sephora for a very short time, and then it disappeared. And for a very long time, it was really hard to get things shipped from ColourPop into Canada, or it was either hard or expensive. It's actually easier for us to get things from the UK, like something from the UK might come in a week, whereas I may have to wait a month for something from the US and pay twice as much for that shipping. So, and we're Canada, right? So if you think about other countries or, you know, farther away from Canada, let's say, and they're not Europe, they may not be getting all these different brands that we have access to, but they will probably get Urban Decay. I know for a fact that Argentina, where I'm originally from, you can buy Urban Decay there. So again, it's a product that you know, it's a brand that you know. And even I think when people come into Canada or the States from those countries and go to get those products, they will tend to gravitate to those brands that they know, because they, you know, they are buying something that they can come to Sephora and return if they don't like it. So for that reason, I think that they will really choose those products that you know and that you know they're pretty much foolproof. So yeah, so that is my very emphatic defense of the Naked palette. I personally own the Naked Original, although this one has been discontinued. I think I said it, but I may have not. I know the Naked Original, the Naked 2, and my personal favorite is the Naked 3. This is actually my second Naked 2 because the first one disappeared very mysteriously in a hotel in Germany. I think that, a funny story is I actually bought the Naked Cherry when it came out. I got it, you know, I got it shipped. I opened it and I was like, no, this is too much. I'm not ready for this. And I returned it, which is funny because now I love doing like berry tones on my eyes. So it's kind of funny that like I was so scared of it the first time I saw it, and like Naked hit, I was terrified. But now it would be like, oh, like I could probably use that, and like that would be a good palette for me to have. I think I just wasn't ready at the time. And yeah, I've been looking at the Wild Wild West one, and it looks really pretty. The packaging looks amazing too. So who knows, maybe I'll get it. I think that if you don't like the Naked palette, and if you feel confident with other products, that's great for, you know. So like I say, your kilometrage may vary. And that's awesome for you when you get to try it. But if you are someone who does want to get into more complex eye looks, or more colorful eye looks, or experimenting with different colors, I think one of these Naked, so it would be the Cherry, the Heat, the Honey, the Ultraviolet, or the Wild West. I think those are the 5 that they have. That might be a great choice for you, because again, they're pretty much foolproof. So let me know in the comments below if you are, if you have a Naked palette, which one do you have? When did you get it? Or you can also let me know what was your first palette, and if you are actually planning on getting the new Wild Wild West, and anything else you want to tell me about your feelings about the Naked palette. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you very soon in another video. Bye.